Wolfpack, what's going on? It's your boy, the Wolf of Roto Street, RotoStreetJournal.com. We read and feed you fantasy wolves here with a emergency Friday stream to pop on because Deshaun Watson is not facing criminal charges. This broke just about an hour ago as I was getting home from work. So I wanted to quickly cover what I think are the top 5 landing spots for him. As Adam Schefter has noted, his trade market is expected to ramp up and quickly with this news breaking. So I want to dive in and let you guys know what I consider the top 5 landing spots and what it would mean for those fantasy players should he land on their team. Before I go in there, if you don't mind hitting that like button, it does help us get out to more people and continue to grow our channel. And on that note, too, if you haven't already and you enjoy the video, please consider subscribing over there on YouTube to continue to help us to grow this Wolfpack. Alrighty, let's dive on in to those teams. Number 5 is the Miami Dolphins. Now, and again, they're the perfect example. What I want to first preface this all with is they said at the Combine the door is shut on a move. So some of these teams might already have crossed Deshaun Watson off the list, but maybe that changes with this news today that he won't be facing any criminal charges. So from the start, the Dolphins have said the door is shut. But if it's not, it's a young, exciting, young coordinator in Mike McDaniels coming over from the 49ers. Learning under Kyle Shanahan these last few years. He was the run game coordinator, so a ton of bootlegs, all that rushing action. They drafted Trey Lance because they wanted that Konami upside over there in the 49ers offense, and now this would be the even better combination of the legs, the wheels, and also the arm and Deshaun Watson. So that could be a great fit down there in Miami. You got Jalen Waddle, one of the best young. He surprised me. I was a little bit lower on him coming in. I'll admit it. He shocked me. He is not shocked. He was great in college. I didn't know that his game would translate quite as explosively as it did, but man, he is a beast. They've already kind of speculated on using Jalen Waddle as their Deebo Samuel. That could be an incredible fit there, racking the yards up of the catch, but also deep down the field too. With Deshaun Watson, they have plenty of cap space to take him on and to add some weapons around him. So that could be an intriguing fit for sure. But they've already said the door might be closed there. So we'll move to number 4, the Carolina Panthers. I think this could also be a potential phenomenal fit here with the deep speed of Robbie Anderson. But more importantly, all you dynasty leaguers out there have to be praying DJ Moore, one of the, I think, most underrated receiver talents in the league. It just hasn't all fully come together because I don't think any fault of DJ Moore's own. It's been the quarterback play, the lack of touchdowns, the lack of consistency. I really think Deshaun Watson, who, let's not forget, led the NFL in passing the last time he was on an NFL field, this would be a beautiful fit. DJ Moore would be maximized. Robbie Anderson, if he stays, there's rumors he might get traded. He could potentially blow up with that deep arm, that beautiful deep ball of Deshaun Watson. Terrace Marshall, a pretty lost rookie season, but maybe this guy who flashed all preseason could realize some of his potential. But perhaps most importantly for the Panthers, of course, debating right now number 1 through 3, Christian McCaffrey already in that top 3. But should we get Deshaun Watson here, he'd suddenly have to jump up to number 1 consideration. Yes, I know the injuries. They've been a pain in the ass. I've had him 2 straight years. It's been brutal. But let's not forget the last full year, 2018, with Kyle Allen at quarterback, Christian McCaffrey had 19 touchdowns. He would have 20, 30 touchdown upside, and that seems insane. It's not, given how great he is as a receiver and runner. So you'd have to start bumping up Christian McCaffrey. He'd be no lower than 2. I have Cooper Kupp right now at number 2, but if we get Deshaun Watson with the Panthers, I'd have to be bumping him up. Either way, tons of weapons, all the skill set. And don't forget that Sam Darnold at one point led the NFL in rushing touchdowns last year. You don't think that they're going to design all those? It was tons of draws. And yeah, defense will be more ready in the red zone for Deshaun Watson, but still, they love using the read option. They love the bootlegs over there too. All these offenses are going to figure out a way to maximize Deshaun's ability to just rope it on the run and use his legs. But again, the guy led the NFL in passing. It's not just about his legs at all here. Number 3 would be the Seattle Seahawks. Perhaps number 1 in terms of talent. We're thinking about the scheme, the usage, how these teams are going to use him. Well, yeah, when you think about talent around him, I don't think there's a better receiver duo than Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf in the league right now. Probably not. The issue is we're all celebrating Russ escaping such great weaponry because over 5 seasons of his 5 of his 10 NFL seasons, Russell Wilson ranked 31st or 32nd in pass attempts. That's half of his career. And Russ is a great talent. So complete mismanagement of talent, pathetic usage of him under Pete Carroll. In fact, Russ never ranked higher than 16th in pass attempts under Pete Carroll. And that year, he led the NFL in passing touchdowns and fantasy points among QBs. So I do think there is, even if he gets to the median line with this type of weaponry, Deshaun Watson would do some humongous damage. Let's call it 15th in pass attempts, even though that'd be higher than anything Russell Wilson did. These guys would still blow up. That's how good Tyler Lockett is, DK Metcalf is. Especially, I think, Lockett, his value could tank without a guy like Russell Wilson, given how much was reliant on the deep ball, on the chemistry and the timing. But Watson would be a guy that right back in there, maybe even better than Russell Wilson in that sense. So ultimately, Seahawks would be a great spot on talent. Scheme, one of the worst on here, but I think the talent around him with those two monster receivers would be enough to elevate him. But there is a couple teams I have above the Seahawks. Coming in at number 2 would be the Steelers, who, similar to Dolphins, said we're not interested in signing Deshaun Watson, but could tones change after the latest news here? Potentially. And you think about it, why the Steelers? Well, one, talent is great there. Deontay Johnson, unbelievable out of the slot, wide open at will. But then you got Claypool, this explosive, dominant, just ready to go deep and take the entire defense with him type of talent. Then rotting with Big Ben and his noodle arm these last couple of years. Those two together, you mix in, maybe they bring back Juju Smith. It doesn't really matter because, yes, the talent's intriguing. Those weapons are nice. Of course, Najee Harris out of the backfield and Pat Fry at tight end. The more I talk about him, it's like, yeah, these weapons are great. That Pat Fry would go insane with Deshaun Watson hucking at the rock. But even more so than the actual weaponry is the fact when Big Ben could throw a football more than 10 yards down the field. There was a stretch where the Steelers ranked top 5 in pass yards for 5 straight years. From 2014 to 2018, they were top 5 in passing yards under Big Ben. I think Deshaun Watson right now in his prime is better than any Big Ben variation from that 2014 to 2018 range. As good as he was, Deshaun Watson do a lot more. So this would just be a fantasy factory of tons of pass attempts, solid weapons, another 5,000 yards. How many times did Big Ben throw for 5,000 yards in that span? I think 3, 4. Unbelievable potential if he lands with the Steelers and they change their tune. But my number 1 team is almost like a baby, coming from the talent of the Seahawks and the usage of the Pittsburgh Steelers, as if they kind of came together, the best of both worlds, and had a baby. That's going to be my number 1 team. And again, if you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting that thumbs up button, helping us grow, maybe sharing out the channel to anyone you're not competing with, or if you want to be much appreciated. So thank you again for being here, watching this video and helping us grow. But my number 1 team, as I was alluding to, talent and usage, both through the roof. If there's one duo that can compete with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, it is Chris Godwin and Mike Evans over there with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think you then mix in the fact that Bruce Arians, over the last 3 years, yes, 2 of those with Tom Brady, but one of them with Jameis Winston. All of those last 3 years, they've been top 3 in pass yardage, top 3 in passing touchdowns. Again, Tom Brady, the GOAT, I get it, but also with Jameis Winston, it would be an aerial bonanza. We know Bruce Arians' motto, no risk it, no biscuit. And Deshaun Watson, when he's out there, I believe the last full season he played ranked number 1 in deep accuracy from Pro Football Focus in their deep grades. So this would be bombs away, bombs to Evan, bombs to Godwin. Both of those guys, how many times can I say bombs down there? Unbelievable fantasy upside for Deshaun Watson, thrown to those weapons within this deep attacking scheme. And also just great to preserve the value, the top 10 values of both Evans and Chris Godwin, who was franchised earlier this week. Both of those guys right back into the top 10 fantasy receivers. If Deshaun Watson was hucking them the rock, you can imagine Gronk might be enticed to come back there. And who knows who the back would be. Right now, it's looking like Keyshawn Vaughn, but whoever is the main guy in that backfield, if it's Keyshawn Vaughn, my God, he was the best ball pick of these early drafts, given how late he's going. If he ends up being the lead guy, would go any running back that's going to be with the Tampa Bay Bucks, if they have Deshaun Watson, would go bananas. Maybe it's Leonard Fournette on a return, even though they're speculating he's not. But either way, the Bruce Arians offense, those receivers, that's all you need to have absolute fantasy magic. It happened for Jameis Winston, who was a top 5 quarterback and led the NFL in passing yards and TDs. Alrighty, folks, those are my top 5 spots for Deshaun Watson. Again, could he face a suspension? Potentially. I have no idea. There's no insider info. This is just, should he not be suspended? Now, if he plays a full season, there's no way he should rank outside anybody's top 5 QBs, really wherever he lands, but certainly if he goes to any of the 5 spots I just outlined. He's got that deep accuracy. He's got the mobility. He could do it all. So if Deshaun Watson does play, he'd be right back into the best bets. Right now, the odds on him winning MVP were insane. I'd be one of the best bets to potentially take that down to win the passing crown. So I would be hammering Deshaun Watson bets if the odds have not adjusted quite yet. And ultimately, he'd be my top 5 quarterbacks no matter what moving forward. Really, again, wherever he lands, but certainly whether it's with the Dolphins at 5, Panthers at 4, Seahawks at 3, Steelers at 2, or my number 1 spot, the Tampa Bay Bucks. All righty. We got a handful of just quick comments coming in. David mocked Deshaun on Steelers, so dangerous. Yeah, they'd be terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. What a factory that would be. What up, Tunes? Good to see you. Dolphins, they hate Tua. It could really be. I know Flores was the one that was really leading the charge against Tua, at least what the reports suggest. So maybe not. Love you, Kevin Rice. Alrighty, guys. Thanks again for jumping in here. Hopefully you found this information useful for you. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up on the way out. And if you like this and you haven't already joined the Wolfpack, consider hitting that subscribe. You can find all this content at rotostreetjournal.com. I'll be sure to update my 2022 rankings. I've already bumped Deshaun Watson, like I said, up into my top 5, but whenever he lands, wherever he lands, it's going to cause massive seismic changes. It is by far the biggest situation to track the rest of the offseason. So as Schefter said, it's going to heat up soon. Keep those tracking here. We'll be sure to break it right down. In a world full of fantasy sheep, guys, be the wolf. Enjoy your weekends. Later.